Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is a fantastic Thursday, and we have an absolute mountain of drama to unpack from the latest episodes. Grab a snack and get comfortable, because the fallout from this week is completely out of control and we need to talk about all of it right now. So let's just dive right into the absolute madness that is happening over at Forrester Creations and the Beach House. Honestly, my head is still spinning from how fast everything escalated. We all saw the brutal fight. We saw Will Spencer completely lose his mind and just pummel RJ Forrester. I mean, it was hard to watch. It was really brutal. Multiple blows to the face, bruised ribs, a possible concussion. RJ looked like he had been hit by a freight train. And at first, I felt really bad for RJ. I really did. Nobody deserves to get beaten up like that just because Will can't handle his anger issues or the stress of hiding his mom's corporate secrets. It was a terrifying display of violence. But then things started to shift, and they shifted in a way that I don't think any of us really saw coming. But before we get to the big twist with Electra, we have to talk about Ridge Forrester. Oh, Ridge, what were the writers thinking with this guy lately? He has been acting like this supreme dictator of Los Angeles. So Ridge finds out about the fight and he is just absolutely enraged. He goes on the warpath. He corners Electra. He literally backs her into a corner and drops this massive, cruel ultimatum on her. He tells her she has to completely, 100%, permanently cut all ties with Will Spencer if she wants to save her career at Forrester Creations. And not just that. He basically demands that she sever her heart from her body just to appease his corporate and family pride. He's standing there, puffing his chest out, acting like he is the ultimate moral authority on healthy relationships and what is best for her future. And Electra, poor Electra, she is just in a state of absolute panic. I mean, think about it from her perspective. She just watched the guy she loves turn into a violent monster right in front of her. She threw her necklace at him. She moved out of the beach house. She sided with RJ and took him to the hospital to get treated for his injuries. She is traumatized. She is heartbroken. And now her Uncle Ridge is threatening her entire livelihood. Her jewelry line, her future, everything she has worked for at Forrester Creations is suddenly hanging by a thread because Ridge is throwing a tantrum. She is hyperventilating. She is trapped. She is in this impossible position where she has to choose between her emotional trauma and her career. And for a second, it really looked like she was just going to submit. It looked like she was going to bow down to the great Ridge Forrester and do exactly what he commanded like a good little Forrester employee. But you know what? She didn't. She didn't cave. And I am so glad she didn't, because suddenly Electra starts thinking. She starts replaying the events of that night at the beach house in her head. And she starts asking some really important questions. Questions that, honestly, we should have been asking all along. Like, why was RJ at the beach house in the first place? What was his actual motive? Let's be real here. RJ knew that Will was on edge. He knew Will was hiding something massive about the Logan fashion show. He knew the tension was at an absolute boiling point between them. So why show up there? Why poke the bear? Electra starts putting the pieces together, and it is just brilliant to watch her brain work. She realizes that RJ might have actually orchestrated the entire situation. Hear me out. RJ is not a fighter. We know this. The guy took a gut punch from Will at Bikini Bar last month and didn't do anything to defend himself. He has zero self-defense skills. None. But he is manipulative. He has that classic Forrester arrogance where he thinks he can outsmart everyone in the room. What if RJ intentionally went to the beach house to push Will's buttons? What if he wanted Will to snap in front of Electra? Because think about it. If Will looks like a violent psychopath, then RJ looks like the helpless victim. And RJ gets Electra all to himself. It is actually a really twisted, cowardly move if you think about it. Maybe I'm being too harsh on RJ. I mean, he did get beaten to a pulp, but still, you don't just walk into a volatile situation with a guy who hates you unless you have an agenda, and RJ definitely had an agenda. And Electra sees right through it. She realizes she is being played by both sides. Will played her by hiding the Logan's secrets and resorting to extreme violence. But RJ played her by setting the trap and playing the innocent victim. And then there is Ridge playing the puppet master, trying to control her life and her career. She was done. She was just done. Electra just snaps. She has had enough of the toxic masculinity surrounding her. She decides she is not going to be a pawn in this stupid Forrester versus Spencer war anymore. She marches right up to Ridge and RJ, and she just unleashes on them. I wish I had popcorn for this scene, you guys. It was incredible television. Electra stands there, looking at these two Forrester men who think they control the world, and she flat out rejects the ultimatum. She tells Ridge she is not going to be bullied into making decisions about her personal life just to keep her job. She refuses to let him hold her jewelry line hostage, and then, oh my gosh! And then she drops the absolute nuclear bomb. She brings up Ridge's marital history. Yes, finally, someone actually said it out loud. The fans on social media have been screaming about this for years, and the writers finally let a character say it. For years, we have had to sit here and watch Ridge lecture people about morality and commitment and what makes a good relationship. But Electra looks him dead in the eye and brings up the fact that he has been married to Brooke Logan 9 times. 9. That means they have been divorced 8 times. It is the most chaotic, dysfunctional, toxic relationship history in the history of daytime television. And Electra just throws it right in his face. She basically says, "How dare you lecture me about toxic relationships? How dare you judge Will or me when you have divorced the same woman 8 times? Who actually believes this is going to end well when the patriarch of the family treats marriage like a revolving door?" It was beautiful. I was cheering at my screen. I literally could not believe she went there, but it was so necessary. And you could just see the veins popping in Ridge's forehead. He was so furious because he hates being called out. He hates when people remind him that he is not perfect and that his epic romance with Brooke is actually a complete mess most of the time. But Electra didn't stop there. Oh no, she was on a roll. She pivoted right to RJ. She turns to RJ, who is standing there with his bruised ribs and his battered face, probably expecting her to coddle him and tell him how brave he is. But instead, she calls him out on his cowardice. She accuses him of intentionally provoking Will. She exposes his whole sneaky, manipulative plan to make Will look bad so he could swoop in and be the hero. She tells RJ that he is a coward, that he couldn't win her heart fair and square, so he had to resort to dirty tricks and emotional manipulation. And honestly, I think she is completely right. RJ has been acting like this entitled brat lately. He thinks just because his last name is Forrester, he deserves whatever he wants. He thought he could just play the victim and Electra would fall into his arms. But Electra completely humbled him. She forced him to face the ugly truth about his own actions. He didn't just get beaten up, he basically asked for it by intentionally triggering a guy who was already on the brink of a mental breakdown. Okay, maybe nobody asks to get a concussion, but you know what I mean. He lit the match and then cried when he got burned. So now, the fallout is just massive. Electra has created this irreparable rift between her and Ridge. I mean, you do not just insult Ridge Forrester's sacred marriage to Brooke and expect to keep your corner office. Ridge is probably going to try to fire her, or at least shelve her jewelry line permanently. He is vindictive like that. He cannot handle insubordination, especially from a younger woman in his family. But maybe Electra doesn't even care anymore. Maybe she is just so sick of the toxic environment at Forrester Creations that she is ready to walk away. I mean, who could blame her? The place is a madhouse right now, with Hope leaving for Logan and Steffy running around screaming about vengeance. Why would Electra want to stay in that mess? And what does this mean for her and Will? I don't know. I really don't. She is still horrified by Will's violence, and she should be. You can't just excuse a brutal beatdown. Will has serious issues he needs to work out. He inherited that Spencer brutality from Bill, just like Liam has struggled with in the past. But now that Electra knows RJ provoked him, does that change things? Does she forgive Will? Or does she just wash her hands of both of these immature guys? Honestly, she should probably just stay single for a while, focus on her career. Maybe take her jewelry line over to Logan. Katie would probably hire her in a heartbeat just to stick it to Ridge. Can you imagine the look on Ridge's face if Electra defected to Logan just like Hope did? It would be pure cinematic gold. But let's talk more about RJ for a second, because this changes my whole perspective on him. Like I said earlier, a few episodes ago, I felt bad for him, but now I kind of think he is just as toxic as Will, just in a different way. Will uses his fists, but RJ uses manipulation. You can't go around intentionally trying to destroy someone's relationship and not expect some kind of blowback. Especially when you know the other guy is a Spencer who is already cracking under pressure. RJ played a stupid game and he won a stupid prize, a concussion and a bruised ego. And now Electra sees right through him. His whole plan backfired spectacularly. He thought he was being so smart, but he just ended up looking like a manipulative coward. And the fans on social media are just going wild over this. Half the people are cheering for Electra for finally standing up to Ridge's patriarchal nonsense. The other half are arguing about whether Will or RJ is the bigger villain in this scenario. But I think the real villain here is the culture at Forrester Creations. They all think they are untouchable. They think they can just dictate who people love and how they live their lives based on their corporate interests. And Electra finally shattered that illusion. I am so tired of Ridge acting like the king of the castle. It is so refreshing to see a younger character just completely dismantle his ego. And she used facts: 9 marriages, 8 divorces. You can't argue with the math, Ridge. I just love that the writers actually remembered that historical plot point and let Electra use it as a weapon. It makes the show feel so much more grounded when they acknowledge their own ridiculous history instead of just pretending these characters are perfect. So what happens next week? I bet Ridge is going to complain to Brooke about how disrespectful Electra was. And Brooke will probably agree with him because she always does when it comes to defending their epic love story. And RJ is going to be sulking, probably trying to get sympathy from Melissa Dillon or someone else now that Electra has rejected him. But Electra is standing tall. She might have lost her job, she might have lost her boyfriend, but she found her backbone. And that is the best character development we have seen on this show in a very long time. Honestly, I could ramble about this for another hour. It is just so messy and so good. The writers really delivered with this confrontation. It feels like a classic soap opera moment, but with a modern twist where the female character actually refuses to be manipulated by the men around her. She didn't let Will control her with his possessiveness. She didn't let RJ manipulate her with his victim act, and she didn't let Ridge bully her with his corporate power. She just burned the whole thing down, and I am here for it. I am so here for it. But you guys have to let me know what you think in the comments. Was Electra too harsh on Ridge? Was RJ really the mastermind behind the fight? And where does Electra go from here? Does she stay at Forrester, or is she Logan bound? Drop your thoughts below, and I will see you all in the next update.